Hi guys, welcome to Level 5, Lesson 5 of my beginner's guitar course where we're covering how to play the C major scale. Now this is the first scale that we're learning in this beginner's course, but I don't want it to scare some people off. Sometimes people think scales and they think of horrible piano lessons or something, or bad experience as a kid. This is simply how we're going to end up playing melodies on your guitar that are recognizable and using single strings. So whether it's electric lead guitar solos you want to be playing or acoustic melodies, this is the absolute starting place when we want to be playing single notes on your guitar. So scale just means sequence of notes, and this is the sequence of notes we're going to be learning. Notice I started at the lowest note, went to the highest note and then came back down in order, which is exactly how we want to practice our scales, and we can kind of see this as the ABC of music. Basically, we had to learn your alphabet at some point when you were learning English or whatever language you speak primarily, and this is where we're kind of playing catch up and learning the musical alphabet, this C major scale. It can be really useful to visualize the shape of any single note part that you're going to be playing on your fretboard before you learn it, rather than learning one at a time. And this one is basically based on the C major chord. So I'd like you to play a standard C major chord that we learnt at lesson 1 of this level. Now let's strum it from string 5. And there's our C major chord. So 1, 2, 3. Now straight away when I put my fingers in this position, you're already playing half the notes that are in this scale. And so the middle 4 strings are included in this scale, and we only have to learn another 4. So you know half the notes already if you know this C major chord. C major chord, C major scale. Same thing really, okay? And we're going to start with that third finger, the lowest note of your C chord, and I want you to play that now just with one finger down, just with your third finger down, and that's what that note sounds like. I'm using a pick and resting my wrist on the guitar itself and holding the pick between my thumb and my first finger, but you can use your thumb or your first finger if you see yourself as more of a fingerstyle guitar player. So we're going to start on your third finger, 3rd fret of the A string, and pick that note. We're then going to play the open 4th string, which is a D. And the first note we started on was a C. And from there, because we're doing the C major scale, it just goes around the alphabet. So C, next note is D. Middle finger where it would normally go on a C major chord, that's an E note. 3rd finger on the next fret up, 3rd fret of the 4th string, so directly below where that other 3rd finger was. And that's our 4th note. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of our C major scale, the note names, which are C, D, E, F. Next note is an open G, so it's the open 3rd string. C, D, E, F, G. Next we're going to place our middle finger on the 2nd fret of that same 3rd string, which is an A note. Just 2 notes left to go, the last one you'll know, but we're going to play the open B string, so that's this open 2nd string. And then finally your first finger on that same string where it is on your C major chord. So all of those really slow, one more time, and join in with me if you can. I will give you time to play it after you've watched where I put my fingers. So we have the first note, just your C note. Play that now. D, open D string, middle finger where it is on a C, 3rd finger same string next to it, open 3rd string, that's this one, and I've just played it without any fingers down, middle finger, second fret of that same third string, open second string, that's a B, and flat first finger on the C note, and that's taken us from C to C, which we'd call an octave. That's a repetition of the same letter name, but one is low, C, and one is high, C. That gives us this 8-note scale, and that's also why it's called an octave. Oct is 8, like an octagon, like the shape, the octagon, and it's an 8-note scale. So we've got eight major scale tones between the first starting note, the C, and the higher C note there. We do need to get used to calling these notes by their letter names, C, D, E, etc., which is how they're commonly known in the UK and America. But in other parts of the world, certainly continental Europe and some parts of South America in particular, solfege is more common, where we know the note names as Do, Re, Mi, etc. That's far more common in those places, and also in Europe and America, we kind of know instinctively what it should sound like when we sing Do, Re, Mi. So that can be really handy. Even having a little sing along to yourself, even if you don't see yourself as a singer, helps you get the melodic tones in your mind to really internalize this scale rather than just physically doing something with your fingers. You gain the idea that the notes start low and end up high. Okay, so let's have a go at that now. This is where we would have Do, Re, Mi, Fa, Sol, La, Ti, Do. Back to Do again. Low Do, high Do. Now to play this scale in its full form, we need to go up the notes as I've just demonstrated there, and come back down as well without repeating any notes, so it kind of looks like a palindrome and it sounds like it as well, where we come down as that. So let's cover just how it comes back down, and then we're going to play the whole thing once through. From our first finger here on the C note, C, back in the alphabet B, A, open G, third finger on the F, middle finger E, open D, and finally C. And we're again using the same fingers as we would use in our C chord. So that the fingers you use are really important. If you're always using different fingers, you're never going to get that consistency or build your hand development up as we want. And here we're essentially assigning your first finger to the first fret. Any notes that happen on the second fret happen with your second finger. Any notes that happen on your third fret happen with your third finger. And that's ideal as a concept to take forward. So from here, you want to practice this scale, going up the notes and coming back down in one complete sort of cycle first of all, and then we're going to do what we call cycling it, and ideally we want to be looking at 4 times as kind of a complete exercise. Up and down 4 times without repeating any notes is what we're looking for. So this time through it's going to be more of a demonstration. You may want to pause it if you want to join in with me, but just have a go in your own time, or pause this video and see if it sounds like my one, and compare and contrast basically. So we're going to go up from the bottom. And back down. And that was one complete round. Notice I didn't play that highest note twice. I just turned straight back around and came back the other way. And again, we're wanting to play this 4 times through. So if I give you an example of just it twice through. And repeat. and that's twice through, and again we're looking for 4 times through in your exercise. One final note on single string playing in general. What can happen is we have gaps between the notes quite frequently, and this is just always happens with beginners because the coordination between your hands isn't quite in sync yet, and we want it to be in sync as much as possible. So what do I mean by that? Put simply, when you first learn this scale, it can sound a little bit like this. Where there's a big space between your notes, and we don't ideally want that when we're practicing any single note playing unless it's really specifically there, and in scales it most definitely isn't. Here's what we're looking for. Now notice I played that, if anything, intentionally slower, but there were no spaces between the notes, and that's the thing that you're really trying to improve when you're practicing it, rather than just learning this faster. You need to do it super slow and get the correct motions at this time. Now of course that can be frustrating, but to give you something to work on to mark your improvement, it's the spaces between the notes that you're trying to reduce, rather than playing the whole thing just faster. So again, do it purposefully slow, but make sure there are no spaces between the notes. Best way to do that, keep your fingers down a little bit longer and don't lift a finger off until the next note is played. It's kind of played at the same time if we look really carefully. I'm not taking this finger off and then playing the next note. I'm going to take this finger off when I play the next note, which again takes coordination between your two hands, and that's the sync that I'm talking about. So watch carefully. The finger goes down exactly when I'm going to play, and not before or after. They happen at the same time. You can be forgiven for thinking you have to get there a little bit sooner, but if you do that, or if you lift off too soon, that's where the space comes from, and that means when you try and play it faster, there's going to be this sort of noise in between, and that's what we want to try and avoid. So don't go for speed, go for getting the spaces between the notes reduced to as small as possible, and keep the tempo around the tempo of a ticking clock, which would be 60 BPM, until the spaces between your notes are reduced. And that's how to practice our scale correctly. As I say, that does lead straight on to being able to play a melody, and that melody would be Happy Birthday is my recommended one with this scale, and that's on my website as part of my major scale series. In the next lesson in this course, we're checking out your recommended chord sequences and a couple more melodies that are really cool for you to learn with this C major scale. So I hope to see you there, and of course we'll have the practice routine after that. So hope to see you in the next lesson in this course, or on the website where we have loads of songs at this level 5. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now. You can download this video and the ebook that goes with this entire course by clicking in this area here. Click over there to watch the next lesson here on YouTube. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and all those links are in the description if you are watching on mobile.